Hey, fellow mathers. Welcome to the podcast where math is figure-outable. I'm Pam Harris, a former mimicker turned mather.
And I'm Kim Montague, a reasoner who now knows how to share her thinking with others. At Math is Figure-Outable, we are on a mission to improve math teaching.
We know that algorithms are amazing human achievements, but they're not good teaching tools because mimicking step-by-step procedures can actually trap students into using less sophisticated reasoning than the problems are intended to develop.
In this podcast, we help you teach mathing, building relationships with your students and grappling with mathematical relationships.
We invite you to join us to make math more figure-outable. Dun, dun, dun.
Hi there.
Kim, what's up?
Nothing.
Nothing.
But I told you I got a new car the other day, right?
Yes. How's it going? How's the car?
It's good. I got to tell you, I did something dumb this morning.
Is it new or is it new to you?
It's new to me. It's fairly new, but it's new to me.
Yeah, you and I are both the same. We don't usually get new. Anyway,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Carry on.
Yeah. So I dropped my kids off for school and I was tinkering with it because, the voice command stuff and the phone, I never set any of that up ever.
You decided
And
to
I don't connect my phone, any of the things, but, I did, my youngest Cooper got in the car with me yesterday and he pressed a button and made me read all the voice command things. There's like 10 prompts. And so he found it very entertaining and we did the thing. So it was set up for voice command. So today on my steering wheel button, I pressed it and I was like, change the station to blah, blah, blah. And in that moment I went, wait a second. I wonder if the car cares if I say 100.7 or 107 tenths, because people care. People get upset about the point. So I said 100.7 or whatever the number was. And then I said, change the radio station to 107 tenths. And it did it. So dumb. So my car accepts point and tenths.
All right.
Very exciting.
There you go.
It's such a dumb math thing to do.
Only you would test out your car to see how it would hear the decimal.
I mean,
nice.
Does that mean they intentionally programmed it?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yep.
Somebody mathy in the
or
world.
the language model they use includes those as equivalents. I'll have to ask my programmer kids, see what they say.
No, you should test your car if you have a voice thing.
I don't know that I have voice command. I'll have to, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, dumb life
Hey,
story.
Speaking of, I got to remember my car's in the shop. I got to pick it up today.
Oh,
okay. That's a thing to remember.
Listen, we're both a little batty today.
Woo!
You should know, listeners.
It's going to be great, everybody. Oh, man. All right.
Here we go.
Kim.
So, wait, I have a review for you.
Okay.
Another before we start.
Okay.
No
starting today.
We do love the reviews. It makes my heart happy.
Yeah.
And as you know, it helps algorithms to see the things and we want everyone to listen in. But we got one not too terribly long. It's been a couple months, but not too terribly long ago. And it says, I absolutely love listening to the podcast. I'm a third grade teacher and I've been trying for years to teach math differently. This podcast is filled with great ideas and great conversation to help any math teacher or parent. Thank you for what you do. So Thank you, Jay Moore, 456. Appreciate that so much. Glad it's helpful.
And I see you pasted it in my notes here, and the title is "Wow" with 2 exclamation points. That's fun. 5 stars. Thanks. And yeah, it helps everybody see the podcast more. Helps us spread the word. So thank you for the reviews and ratings, everybody. We appreciate when you do that. Nice. Hey, Kim, so you know that not too long ago, I had a chance to go to Europe and work with teachers in 4 different countries. I had such a good time.
Yeah.
One of the fun things that happened while I was there is that I played I Have You Need with every group where I was in several different classrooms, different grade levels. I think I did everything from kindergarten to, they would say year 11. Maybe it was year 10. I think it was year 10. It was pretty high level math in that IB school. Yeah, I had such a good time playing I Have You Need. And one of my favorite times that I played I Have You Need was when I was in Germany. So I was in Hanover, Germany. And while I was there, I got to talk to I believe he's in 7th grade. So Gustavo, don't be too mad at me if I got that wrong. But Gustavo, and I think he's in 7th grade. And we were actually on a walking tour of the city. and we just started playing I Have You Need, and it was so stinking fun. One of the things I said, well, we played it a little bit with whole numbers, and then I said something about, hey, how about fractions? And he kind of looked at me like, fractions? I mean, at least that's how I'm interpreting his look. And I
Mhm.
was like, yeah, no problem. And so I said something like, if I have 4/5, what do you need to make one? And he kind of thought, and he kind of looked at me, and then all of a sudden he kind of lit up and he's like, 1/5? And I was like, 4/5 and 1/5, that makes a total of one. He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, all right, then how about, and then I just went on, I don't know, something like, I think maybe 3/4, 5/3. What do I need to make one? And kind of looked at me like, is there a trick here? And he's like, it's 1/4. And I was like, yeah. So then I had done two where it was just one away from the total,
Mhm.
like 7/8 or something like that. So then I said, well, what if I have 3/8? And then he thought for just a little bit longer than just, the one away, the
Mhm.
1 unit fraction away. And he goes, well, if you have what did I just say? 3/8. If you have
Mhm.
3/8, then you need 5/8 to make the, and then he kind of looked at me like, our fractions are just that, like
Mhm.
that's, and he said something along those lines. Like, I just really think about fractions. And I was like, go Gustavo, you are
Yeah.
thinking about
Yeah.
fractions. Yeah. It was really fun.
Yeah. So, we talk about I Have You Need kind of a lot, and we have a podcast episode or maybe two. I don't know. We'll put them in the show notes. I feel like that's one of the early routines that we talked about, maybe even like episode 6 or something. So, but if you
Hmm.
haven't heard us talk about I Have You Need, um, it's just a routine that we love. That's actually kind of lame, but can be
you
used in lots of
You
areas.
say that because you made it up. It's
Well,
not lame. It's not lame at all.
I
It's
mean,
just simple.
it's simple. It's simple, but it's effective. And I think what's really cool about I Have You Need is that it can be used in lots of different content areas. So the routine is super simple. It's you pick a total amount, and then so like let's say total 10 for young kids. And I would say if I have 8, then the students would say you need, or I would say to them you need, and they say 2. And so there's lots of different iterations, lots of ways to play. You could do it with time and money and fractions and decimals and lots of stuff, bigger numbers with 100,
Angle
1,000.
measure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love about it is it's there's a wide range. We've heard people all over say that they've used it in some interesting ways they've used it, but
Hmm.
also
Hmm.
we've heard some people do some other things with it. So we thought we'd collect some questions and some ideas that people had and just beat those around. But
And
bef-
maybe can I just say a quick general thing? I'm
yeah,
interrupting.
no, go
Sorry.
ahead.
So a quick general thing is it is a routine that gets students thinking about partners,
Yeah.
about decomposing a total into two chunks.
Hmm.
And we tend to choose important totals
Right.
where those chunks, those two partners become that they're handy. They are the partners or the chunks that mathy people sort of naturally play with. And if the rest of us don't know that's a thing, then we might not play with them and we might not then own those partners as much. And so we've now made it like this is a thing. It's a thing to play with these partners of these um, helpful totals.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Thank you. Because we don't play I Have You Need with total 13 or total 27. It's generally 1, 10, 100,000,
Maybe 180 for
360,
angles,
180. Right.
360,
Mhm.
maybe
Yeah.
90 for triangles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we have talked in the past about how helpful that is to know partners of 10, 100, and 1,000, but and I think we've talked about it being helpful, useful in the get to a friendly number strategy. So if you're adding numbers and you're at 973, knowing the partner of 73 and 27 is useful so that you can add 27 to get to 1,000. And
Okay,
we've talked.
we might almost need to slow that down just a
Oh,
little bit.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so what'd you say, 973?
973.
So
Mhm.
973 plus anything, plus some crazy 300, whatever number, I can say to myself, well, if I can just add the partner to get to 1,000, then all I have to do is add what's left over. And then that's just 1,000 plus that leftover.
Right.
Bam, that becomes a real doable problem. So that partner becomes really helpful.
Right. And we talk a lot about friendly numbers and how useful they are. So getting to a friendly number is a fantastic strategy.
Hmm.
And I don't know that we've spent as much time talking about how helpful partners are for the over strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm adding a number like pick a number plus 9,946.
So some 4-digit number
Mhm.
plus 9,946. Okay.
I might say, man, I don't want to add 9,946. I want to add 10,000. So adding a little bit too much to go over, and
Hmm.
then just back up how much too much I've gone.
Yeah,
But I would need
absolutely.
to know that 9,946 is
Just
54
54
away,
away. Hmm.
right? So that partnership shows up in get to a friendly number, but also helpful for the over strategy.
That makes kind of sense. Does that
Yeah.
same thing work with subtraction? If I was going to subtract over,
Well, you want to give us an example?
so like if you were to do something like, I don't know, 83 minus 26,
Uh huh.
could you think about 83 minus 30? But then you'd have to know that partner of 26 to 30.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
was
got us
4.
talking about how much this idea, this partnership shows up in lots of different strategies in lots of different ways.
So the partners are really super helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kim, I hear that as we've been talking to people around the world about
Hmm.
I Have You Need, that there's some misconceptions
Hmm.
happening. There's some
Hmm.
things happening out there that we go, oh, actually, not what we meant.
Yeah.
Maybe not as helpful. And so, tell us about some of those.
One is that sometimes people will think this routine is the same as I have who has, which is another routine where you give kids cards or some clues, and one person would say something like, I have 20 plus 4. And then a kid holding the number 24 would say, I have 24. Who has blank? So it's kind of a pattern, the clue throughout the room. That's not the routine that we're talking about.
That's kind of a get up and move kind of like alternate way of having kids kind of have an activity to practice stuff. Is that
Hmm.
okay way to say that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a routine. I have, who has, not what we're talking about
Yeah.
in any way. Not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also have heard students or teachers talk about how there's a speed component to it, that
Mm,
for
yeah.
some reason kids need to be very fast at finding the partners. And
Yeah.
we're not in any way suggesting that we want to put a timer to it, that we want to, snap our fingers, that we want to shout out super quickly to race. With time and with experience, we definitely see kids getting more fluent. And once they've shared some strategies, then they have some ways to think about the numbers. So they become quicker. But this is not a speed based routine in any way.
Yeah. It's far more important that their brain travels the path of figuring out the partner several times than it is for them to. We are not suggesting anyway that they rote memorize these partners. It's not
Yeah.
about a flashcard where you try to come up with some song or rap or rhyme or gimmick to memorize these partners. The important part is that your brain travels the path of figuring the partner, because
Hmm.
there's a lot of connections that you're making and relationships you're forming about just mathematical relationships as you do that. And then there's a natural consequence that if you do it often enough, then those become partners that often that you just own or that you can figure more fluently. And that's the important part of it. It's not about go rote memorize the stuff. It's not about how quick you are. It's really more about how sophisticated you're thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you
Yep.
agree?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So what are some questions that have come up?
Okay, so one person sent a comment in that said, I've recently watched Kim model I Have You Need. And you can check that out on the website. We have a link to some examples and video. And this person said, I love it. I'm a math interventionist trying to implement this with my fourth graders.
Woo, good job.
Yeah,
Go, go, go. Math
fantastic.
interventionist. Way to go.
I've been able to do make a 10 and make a 20 with
A
them.
total, right?
Yep.
That means, yep, the total's
Yep.
10
Total
or the
10,
total's
total
20.
20.
Okay.
With them seeing the relationships. So it looks like they're doing total 10 and total 20 quite well. Is it okay to give kids 100 charts to see the jumps? I'm assuming they're moving into partners of 100. Is it okay to give them a 100 chart so they can see the jumps?
Oh, I can't wait to hear what you're going to say.
Well, I'm going to recommend that there are relationships that can be seen on a 100 chart.
Mm-hmm.
But we would highly recommend that as you share strategies for 100, partners of 100, that you represent them on a number line. So there's a couple of major strategies that we pull out with I have you need. And as kids think about getting to a friendly number or adding a friendly number, it's much more useful to see those on a number line.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't.
And I'll pop in with why.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I'm on a hundreds chart and I use it not to sort of investigate patterns,
Hmm.
but I use it as a tool to find the partner, it propels kids into counting by ones.
Yeah.
So if I say I have 24, what do you need to make 100? The kid goes and finds 24, and now they're thinking about, all right, what does it take for me to get from 24 to 30 and then 30 up to 100? Well, that 24 to 30, I got to count by ones. And that 30 up to 100, I got to count by 110s. Now I could do the other major strategy, which is sort of go from that 24 up by tens until I get to 94. But again, I'm counting by 110 at a time. And then I'm again stuck counting up 6 to get from that 94 to 100.
Hmm.
If we're dealing with partners of 100, we're trying to move kids from counting by one to using relationships, additive relationships. So
Yeah.
we don't want to promote, hey, let me have you just have this tool that allows you to think, to get answers using less sophisticated reasoning. No, no, no. So it might be okay, I don't know, once
Yeah.
to pull out a hundreds chart and say, where is 24? And what did you guys just tell me the partner was? You just told me that the partner was 76. Is this stuff left over 76? How do you know?
Yeah.
Like I could see that like once or maybe twice.
Yeah.
But
Kind of
then,
maybe as proof to say each time we're filling up the whole hundreds chart, we're
yeah,
the
just kind of
first part, second part.
a
Hmm.
sense of what's going on, but then quickly to go to a number line. And again, we're
Yeah.
still filling up. We start at this 24, we're
Uh-huh.
filling from there up to the 100. But we don't want it to be a tool that could propel kids back into counting by ones.
Yeah.
Cool.
We got another comment or question, and this person said, I'm thinking out loud, really, which was kind of cool.
Nice.
I have you need can be played with any numbers, right? I teach fifth grade and we're starting mixed number subtraction. I'd start out with whole numbers and get more complex, just like normal. So if I have 3 3/4, I need 5. I have 2 1/2, I need 4 1/4. So I think there's two parts to this. One, it could be done with any numbers, right? And I think we kind of talked about that a little bit. When you say any numbers, uh, time with 60 minutes, uh,
Money with 100,
right, angles with 180, 360. So
90.
yes, um, lots of content areas. But the question of any number is interesting because we would say that those benchmark numbers are the ones that we really want kids to wrap their head around.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe not, I have 2 1/2, I need 4 1/4, but maybe I have 2 1/2, I need 5, or I have 2 1/2, I need 6.
I like 2.5. I need 10, to
Yeah,
be
I
honest
do
with you.
too. Hmm.
It's all about the 10.
Yeah,
I do think the question, I have 2.5, I need 4 1/4, as a missing add end
sure.
problem,
Hmm.
is a fine problem for kids to think about. I don't know that I would do it in I have you need.
Yeah. I think part of the I have you need thing for us is really about developing the relationships and over time becoming fluent. And I don't know that we need kids to be fluent with 2 1/2
To
to get
four
to
and a
four and
fourth.
fourth. Yeah. It seems like a single standalone problem.
So again, it's not bad that kids would ever do that problem. I don't think I would do it during I have you need.
Right.
Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're definitely going to have missing add-in problems where the total's some random number and the first add-in is some random number. You're going to do that. Kids are going to solve problems like that. I don't think we're not recommending that happens during I have you need.
Yeah.
Then it becomes, we want I have you need to be kind of quick, not quick, not speed wise, but like snappy.
Hmm.
It's like a snappy, we want it to be fun. We want it to be something where they're kind of like almost game like.
It's routine, so it's not brand new and super challenging every single time.
Mhm,
There's a
mhm.
point to it. I just thought of something that I've heard people talk about that I didn't jot down. And one of the ideas that people have sometimes is having a student come up to the front and call out the numbers,
Mhm.
which I think can be done well.
An okay
Hmm.
every once in a while thing.
But there is an art as the teacher to choosing the numbers in what order and what range of numbers. So I think when you have partners play together and you kind of restrict the size of numbers, the magnitude of the numbers that they're working with, and it's purposeful. Hey, everyone, today we're going to work on 10 or we're working on 20. But especially at the beginning of introducing the routine and until kids really understand what's going on, there are some guidelines that we generally follow
Suggest
about,
to
yeah,
teachers.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like if start with numbers that are closer to the total,
right.
so that kids, if kids are counting up, they don't have to count as much.
Mm-hmm,
Start with, if you're doing a total 100, start with the multiples of 10, the decades,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
then go to fives,
mm-hmm.
then go to ones, but still maybe with numbers that are closer to 100 before they kind of get the feel. But then also a nice thing that teachers can do is if they say, I have 76, what do you need? And when the student says 24, have we used that number already today? I don't know why I chose that one again. Then you might right after that say, I have 24,
Yeah.
and just
Sneaky.
notice. Yeah. And so that purposeful number choosing, it's funny, Kim, it's kind of like a problem string.
Mm-hmm,
It's
mm-hmm.
like you're stringing it's a purposeful
Yeah.
sequence of
Yeah.
problems. So I think we're okay with having students play partners. We're okay with a student calling it out for the class every once in a while, but we also want to highly recommend that the teacher thinks about the order that they're providing the numbers. Don't let that stop you from starting.
Sure.
Like
Sure.
dive in and just give random numbers, but over time be aware that you want to kind of get better at the sequence of numbers that you throw out. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right. What else you got?
Okay. Somebody said playing I Have You Need to 10 with my 5-year-old tonight.
Woo.
Super cool. Going along rapidly, and then I say I have 3, to which she suddenly replied, "You need 3 and 3 and 1." I think it's because she loves 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 9. She was able to work out 3 plus 3 plus 1 equals 7. And it
Fun.
reminded me, super cute, it reminded me of long time ago. Gosh, we're going to take us back 20 years, Pam,
Yep.
where we did some work when you first started in the school that I was teaching in. And we did things like ways to make the number of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Today's number, I think, is what we
yeah.
called it. Yeah.
So as a 3rd grade teacher, I would get these students who would say things like, today's number is 80. And they would write this long string of 20 plus 20 minus 20 plus 20 plus 5 minus 5, like a long
Plus
string.
1,000 minus
Yeah.
1,000 times
Yeah.
4 divided by 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Craziness.
Which does have some nice equivalency conversations built into it, but also there's a time to be creative and there's a time to just get it done. Just be efficient. And so
Mm-hmm.
in I Have You Need, that might not be the time where we talk about multiple add-ins.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Partners.
yeah.
Partners. 2. 1. I give you 1. You give me the partner.
Yeah. And remember that part of the work that we do with I Have You Need is in support of some bigger goals. So it's in support of this idea that there are strategies and relationships we want to develop in kids. So if we're talking about getting to a friendly number, we'd love for students to get there quickly, to get there efficiently,
Yep.
to get there
Big jumps.
in
Bigger, fewer jumps.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No, it's okay. And we want kids to have creativity and efficiency. So I think part of the conversation about when do we want which is super useful.
Yeah, have that conversation with your students. So in this problem, are we trying to be creative? We're trying to be efficient. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's excellent. Cool. All right. What else you got? Anything else?
Okay. Yeah. One more. So
right.
this is kind of a big question that happens. And I'm so grateful. This was a parent who said, I'm building my number sense. I love the I Have You Need game that I learned in the workshop. So one of your building powerful numeracy workshops, we talked about I Have You Need. And she said, when my target number is above 20, my answer in the unit place is correct. So the ones place. But for some unknown reason, I'm confused in the tens place. So this is a very real, very common thing. For example, if the target number is 50 and I have 11, you need question mark. I'm confused if the answer is 39 or 29. Huh. After thinking a lot, I figured out it's 39. I want to be efficient and spontaneous in getting the answer. Do you have any ideas or tips on how to solve this tens place issue?
What do you got on that, Kim?
Well, when I first read this, it was interesting. And we actually chatted about this because often when somebody says 11, we hear kids say 49 as a choice because they're used to
Mhm.
saying 10 and 40. So when you say 11, they sometimes think 49 because the
And
10 and the 40 go
I almost
together.
wish we were talking about total of 100 because to me, that's the one that we play more often.
Okay.
So we
Do it.
often, if I say I have 88, kids will
Mm-hmm.
often say they need 22 because
Mm-hmm.
80 and 20, they're just like, bam, I got those partners of 10, 8 and
Right.
2. So I got the partners of 100, 80 and 20. So they're 10 off that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in a classroom, if I've got students who are saying 22 instead of 12
Hmm.
for 88, then I would right away put 88 in their number line and I would ask them how they're thinking about it. So if they're just knee jerk, I see the 20. So we'll put it on a number line and we'll see where we land with 22. But in this situation, it made me think, oh, are we just call and response, but we're not talking about strategy? Then
Mm.
this continues to happen. So general big idea strategies are get to a friendly number or add a friendly number. So if I say 88, a lot of times students are thinking, well, two more gets me to 90,
Hmm.
and then 10 more gets me to 100. So I have the two, I added the two, and then I added the 10, and that's where the 12 comes from.
Hmm.
Other groups of students start with the 88, and they might say, well, I need 10 more to get to 98 and then
And
two
then the
more to
two
get to
more.
100, right?
Hmm.
So we can talk about the equivalency of you had a 10 or 2 or a 2 and a 10 as
Uh-huh.
the jumps that you make. And so in that sharing of strategies, students start to understand, oh, well, when I'm doing 22, I'm going over. And we get to talk about how you're landing on 110. And so, I feel like we've said it, but maybe not emphasized enough that part of the work in I Have You Need is this discussion of strategy, that should be a heavy part, especially early on, as students are trying to figure out how do I come up with that second add-in? We
And not
don't,
just guess, right? It's not
right,
just guessing, like what relationships am I using?
right, absolutely.
Can I just do one more a quick example? So if I
Yeah.
said I have 67,
Uh-huh.
sometimes we hear kids say 60, that's 40. So 43.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we might say, well, we might actually do that, put 67 and then add 43 and realize we're a little bit over
Uh-huh.
and talk about how the 7 and the 3 create a 10.
Mm-hmm.
So the 60 and the 40, sure, that created 100, but you've got these extra ones creating a 10. So you're actually creating 110 when you do it that way.
And that happens every time, right? So when that
Yeah.
happens, you make note of those, put them on the board, and raise the wonder. Why do we keep ending at 110? It's a
Yeah.
brilliant place value conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think the point you're making here is if students are guessing or not, but as students are figuring out the partners, part of the power of the routine is to have the conversation about strategies
yeah.
and put up, maybe this is a great time for my favorite no.
Hmm.
Put up what's happening and find that extra 10 and have the conversation, model the thinking on an open number line. The students can make the thinking visual.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we have a free download about I Have You Need. You can grab that at mathisfigureoutable.com/you need. If you haven't ever grabbed it, you need that. And you can share it with some friends. I Have You Need is for everyone.
What a great URL, mathisforgabble.com/you need,
You
because
do
you
need
need,
it.
I have you need. Y'all, thank you for tuning in. And thanks, Kim, for a fantastic conversation. And thank you for teaching more and more real math. To find out more about the Math is Figureoutable movement, visit mathisfigureoutable.com. Let's keep spreading the word that math is figureoutable.